Okay, today we are doing binomial expansions. So a binomial, how many parts does a binomial have? Two parts. I'll say two-term, okay? A two-term expression is actually what goes in that blank. It's a two-term expression which include one or more variables. You don't need to memorize that. Just giving you some background information. So binomial is a two-term expression which include one or more variables. Today we will be doing what's called binomial expansion, where you have a binomial raised to a power. Okay? And we're not going to fill in these blanks because I think it's more confusing than helpful. So today we're going to be doing a binomial raised to a power. You already know the lobster claw method. You've been doing that for the past couple years, so not the box method. I got this sheet from another teacher, and she does the box method. But we do lobster claw at this school. We're not going to do Pascal's triangle. We're going to skip that. But we are going to also talk about combinations. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Okay. Anybody need more time to write? Okay, so we are not doing Pascal's triangle. I can't remember if I whited it out or not on your paper, but you can mark it out. We're not doing Pascal's triangle. We're skipping that. Okay, we are going to do the lobster claw first, just to illustrate something. So here's our problem. X plus 4 to the third power. X plus 4 to the third power. What's the first thing you have to do? Write it out. How many times? 3 times. So x plus 4, x plus 4, x plus 4. Okay. All right. You can only lobster claw 2 at a time. You can only lobster claw 2 at a time. So x times x, x squared, and then x times 4, 4x. All right. Then you do the claw underneath, 4 times x, 4x, and 4 times 4, 16. Now, I'm going to put this in parentheses because I'm not done with it, and I'm going to drop this other one down because I haven't lobster clawed it out. So that last x plus 4 drops down. All right, yes, that would be the easier thing to do. So the next thing to do, Jonah wants to point out, is to make this simpler. And I agree. I think that would be the next thing to do. How can I make this simpler? Add your 4x's. So this is x squared plus 8x plus 16. Okay? So if you simplify that, that will make your life simpler. Okay? All right. Any idea what I have to do next? Yep, I got a lobster claw one more time. So you do x squared all the way over there. So what's x squared times x? X to the third, x cubed, yep. And then x squared times 4, 4x squared. And you can use that second box because we're not going to be writing in it. So feel free to use that one too. Okay, after I do the x squared times both of those, now I need to do 8x times both of them. So 8x times x, 8x squared, and 8x times 4. 32x. Okay. And what do I have to do last? 16 times x, 16x, and 16 times 4. What is it? Okay, and your very last step. Simplify. So is there anything to put with x cubed? No. What goes with 4x squared? And at this step, you're adding them. So 4x squared plus 8x squared, 12x squared. What goes with 32x? What does that give you? And you drop down to 64. Okay, and now I'm going to show you this same problem, Keelan, but we're going to do combinations instead. So it's a different method. So it's actually shorter, but weirder. Okay, so here's how it works. You take your exponent. That's what you start with. You take your exponent. So what is my exponent? 3. And I write 3c, and you always put a 0 next. Okay? So you start with your exponent, you put a c, and then you always go 0 next. Okay? Then you do 3c1 next. 3c1. Any guess on what the next line is? 3c2. And you keep going until you get back to the exponent. So every problem is different. So you do 3c3. Okay? All right, questions on where that came from? All right, your next step is to take the first term, which in this case is an x, and you're going to write it for all of them. So you're going to write an x for all of them. Okay, now you're going to put an exponent here, and it's the same as whatever the exponent was in the problem. So it's going to be 3, but you're going to count down. So you're going to put a 3 for that one, but then a 2, a 1, and a 0. So you start with the exponent they give you, and you count down. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, then you take what's in the next part of the parentheses, the second term. So that's a 4, and they all get a 4. And this time your exponents are going to be backwards. So instead of doing 3, 2, 1, 0, you do 0, 1, 2, 3. You reverse them. 0, 1, 2, 3. What? No. Okay. All right. To get your answer, we're now going to, well, before we go to the calculator, we're going to mark out the ones with zeros. The ones with zeros don't matter. So 3 choose 0 disappears. 4 to the 0 disappears. And x to the 0 disappears. So that will make your life easier a little bit. So you mark out the ones with zeros. Okay, so now I'm ready to get my final answer. You take the first line. What's left on the first line? X to the third. Is that what we got first right here? Yeah, so we're done with the first line. Then you put a plus. In your calculator, you're going to need to do 3 choose 1. 3 choose 1 goes in your calculator. What else is on this line right here, this second line? Well, we don't need to worry about the x because that won't go in the calculator. Remember, you don't put variables in the calculator. What else goes in the calculator? 4 to the first, which what is 4 to the first? 4, but you need to multiply that. So 3 choose 1 times 4. 3 choose 1 times 4. What you got? 12. So you put a 12. And what is my variable? X to the second. Is that what we got right here? Yes. Okay, so I'm done with that line. Okay, put a plus. Now, 3 choose 2 goes in the calculator. But you're going to have to times it by what? 4 to the second. 4 to the second. Is it at home? Okay, what is my variable? To the first. Do you have to write the 1? You can. I'm not going to count it wrong, but you don't have to. Is that what we got over here? Yes. Okay. Now, 3 choose 3. What else do you have to type in your calculator? 3 choose 3 times 4 to the third. 64. Okay. Okay, anybody need more time to write? Okay. All right. I don't want you to do lobster claw today. We're not doing lobster claw. Okay? We're not doing lobster claw. We're doing the C. We're doing the C. Okay, here we go. What is my exponent? You start with the exponent. You start with exponent. So I'll put a 4 and a C. 4 and a C. What always comes next? 0. Then I do 4C1. What comes next? 4C2, 4C3, and 4C4. You stop once you get back to the exponent. Stop once you get back to the exponent. Okay? All right. Now you take the first thing in the parentheses. So in this case, what's the first thing? 2x, and it goes in parentheses for all of them. That's what you do next. Goes in parentheses for all of them. Okay, now let's do our exponents. What do I start with? 4. You start with the 4. You start with the 4, and you do 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Start back with your original exponent. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. All right. What's the second thing in the problem? A 5. So they all get a 5. Okay. Now for this one, my exponents are going to be backwards. So what goes with that first 5? A 0. Okay, before I type anything in the calculator, what would be helpful to do? Mark out the 0 ones. Mark out the 0 ones. They disappear. They disappear. Okay? Okay. In your calculator, let's do... All right, in my calculator, I'm typing in 2 to the 4th power because this 4 goes with both of those. That 4 goes with both of them. So in my calculator, the board doesn't want to cooperate. I'm going to type in 2 to the 4th power, and what do you get? 16, so 2 to the 4th, and then it's x to the what power? 4th. Okay? And I'm done with the top line. So I like to put a check so I know where I'm at. Okay, for the next line, in the calculator, I would type in 4, choose 1, 4 math over to PRB, choose 1. I'm going to just go ahead and press enter. What do I have to times this one by? What else? 2 to the 3rd. Okay? 2 to the 3rd. 2 to the 3rd power. And then times 5 to the 1st, which I know is just 5. So I did 4 choose 1 times 2 to the 3rd times 5 to the 1st. What do you get? 160. You can't put the x in. Yes. X to the what? 3rd. Okay. All right, let me call on somebody. Trayvon, what would I type in the calculator for this line? What would I type in? Perfect. Anybody got that? 600. And Kirsten, what would go beside the 600? X to the what? Very good. Okay. All right, let me have Austin. What would you type in the calculator for this line? Uh-huh. Yep, 4C3 times 2 times 5 to the 3rd. What y'all got for that one? 1,000. And what letter goes next to it? X. Just to the X to the what? First, so you don't need to write that. All right, and Anthony, what do you type in for this last line? Uh-huh. Yeah, 5 to the 4th. What do y'all got? what is number 2 asking for? Find the third term. So we're going to start it like we always start it. What do you start with? The exponent, which is what? A 7. You start with the exponent, which is a 7. So I write 7c what? 0. That's going to be the first term. Then I'm going to write 7c what? 1. That's the second term. And then I'm going to write 7c 2. That's the third term. And I'm going to stop. I'm not doing any extra work. Okay? So I'm only going to the third term on this one. I only have to go to the third term. So this is the first, second, third. And then I'm going to stop. Okay. I also do need to do the parentheses part, though. What goes in the parentheses for this one? X to the third. Very good. It's whatever's in the front. X to the third, X to the third, X to the third. Okay. All right. What, you always start with the original exponent again. So 7, and you count down. So 7, then what? 6, and then 5. Okay. All right. What's going to go in the second parenthesis? What's in the second part of the problem? -2. Very good, Jose. -2. Not +2, but -2 in this case. Okay. What are your exponents always for the last parentheses? What does it start with? 0. 0, 1, 2. Now, I have to do that work to set it up because I can't do it in my head. So I always set it up like that. Now, what is the question asking for? The third term. You don't actually have to type that in your calculator. All you need is the third term. The reason I did it is because I can't do this part in my head. I have to see it on paper. Okay? So that may be different for you, but that's why I did it this way. So in my calculator, I'm going to type in 7 choose 2 times what? What else do you have to type in? 7 choose 2. Anybody? Well, you don't have to, 1 doesn't matter, so you can skip that. Yep, 7 choose 2. There's no big number right here, so you don't have to worry about it. Times -2, that has to be in parentheses. -2 to the second, times -2 to the second. What you got? 84. Okay? One last thing to make your brains think about. What do you do with 2 little numbers right next to each other? You multiply them in this one case. Look, what's between the 3 and the 5? Just a parenthesis. When that happens, this is the only case where this happens. When you have a 3 and a 5 with just a parenthesis, that becomes x to the 15th. Parentheses mean to multiply. Okay? I know normally you add the little numbers, but this is the scenario you don't. So that's your answer. Okay? Okay, last one. Find the middle term. For the middle term, there is a shortcut. It has to say the words find middle term to use the shortcut.
How do you know
I'm getting there. All right, here's your shortcut. You still start with the exponent. You always start with the exponent. So you take 10 and you divide it by 2 because to get the middle of something, you divide it by 2. So what's 10 divided by 2? 5. Okay, once again, you start with the exponent. So I do 10, but my C is going to be 5. My C is going to be 5 because 5 is the middle term. 10C5. What do you think goes in the first parenthesis? Very good. 3x squared. And its exponent is going to be a 5. That's the shortcut. The exponent's automatically going to be a 5 because we're going straight to the middle. We're doing the shortcut to the middle. What do you think goes in the second parenthesis? -4y to the 4th. And its exponent is also going to be a 5. That's why I said this one has a shortcut. So these will match on the middle term one. Only when it asks for the middle term, those will match. Okay, I really need y'all to pay attention. I'm almost done talking, but this is super duper important. You would type in 10, choose 5. So everybody go ahead and do that, and I'll wait. 10, choose 5. Go ahead and do that part. And then I really need you to pay attention for me. So 10, choose 5. Give people a minute to type that in. 10, choose 5. That came from right here. Now, where does this 5 go with? It goes with the 3 and it goes with the 2. Okay. Here's the thing that most of y'all know, but I want to make sure you know. Does this 2 go with the 3 or the X? Just with the X. This 2 just goes with the X. So we're not typing that in our calculator. We're not typing any of the letters in our calculator. So in my calculator, I've already typed in 10, choose 5. Now I have to multiply it by times 3 to the what power? 5th, not the 2nd. The 2nd goes with the X. We're doing 3 to the 5th. The reason I didn't use parentheses is because it's positive, so you don't have to worry about them. So 3 to the 5th, and then times, what goes with the negative 4? The 5. Does the 4 go with it? No, the 4 doesn't go in your calculator. The 4 is with the letter Y. If it's a letter, it doesn't go in the calculator. So negative 4 to the 5th. Should be a really big number. Oh, shoot, I messed it up. There you go. Oh, no. All right, 252 times 3 to the 5th. It's bad. 3 to the 5th times negative 4 to the 5th. There it is. Sorry. Okay. All right, somebody call it out. Negative 6. 5, 6. All right, you also need to add your letters onto that. What's the first letter we should look at? X. X has what with it? A 2. It also has a 5. Both of these go with the X. What did we say to do with the little numbers? Which is a 10, Y, 20.